Have you ever found yourself wondering, I work hard, I don't splurge, so why does it still feel like I'm just treading water? If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Right now, nearly 6 out of 10 Americans live paycheck to paycheck. You walk through a grocery store and chances are, more than half the people in the aisle are silently struggling to keep up. And here's the twist. It's not about how much you make. Some people earn 6 figures and still end up broke. Others build wealth on minimum wage. So, what makes the difference? Today we're diving into 5 financial traps that Warren Buffett himself has long avoided. Habits that quietly separate the financially secure from the constantly stressed. And it all starts with a dangerous mindset most people don't even realize they have. I don't try to jump over 7-foot bars. I look for 1-foot bars I can step over. That's a classic Buffett mindset. He doesn't chase flashy wins. He looks for small, practical steps, clear, doable, and consistent. Because real wealth doesn't come from one big leap. It comes from hundreds of quiet, smart steps in the right direction. Yet most people live the exact opposite. Let me ask you this. If you check your bank and see $100, do you think, great, I've got $100 to spend? That mindset, spending every dollar the moment it arrives, is what keeps people broke, no matter how much they earn. It's called zero balance thinking. And it doesn't matter if you make $30,000 or $130,000 a year. If you spend it all, you're still broke. Warren Buffett, despite being worth over $100 billion, he still lives on around $100,000 a year. Because he understands something simple. Wealth isn't what you earn. It's what you keep. I remember a coworker once got a $250 bonus. I asked what he'd do with it. He said, new pants, designer ones. That's it. The whole bonus gone. No savings, no investment, just another item in the closet. Look, I'm not saying you shouldn't enjoy your money, but if you spend everything you touch, you'll never have anything that grows on its own. So, here's a better rule. If you can't buy 5 of it, you can't afford 1. If you've got $100 in your account, aim to only spend $20, because the goal isn't to look rich, it's to be free. And financial freedom? It starts with one small bar, the kind you can step over again and again. Only when the tide goes out do you discover who's been swimming naked. Buffett said that with a grin, but what he meant was dead serious. Because when everything's going well, people look successful. New car, fancy watch, designer kitchen. But when the economy slows, the truth shows. And the truth is, a lot of that success was bought on credit. Let's take something simple. A brand new car. Let's say a Mercedes. It's beautiful. It's fast. And it only costs $399 a month. 0 down. 0% APR. Sounds like a deal, right? But here's what you're really signing up for. $399 a month for 60 months. Plus full insurance coverage, plus maintenance, plus interest if you miss even one payment. The car costs $50,000. But if your monthly budget is already tight, you didn't buy a car. You just bought stress on an installment plan. It doesn't stop at cars, credit cards, buy now, pay later apps. Even a $250 couch from Amazon is split into 6 payments now. And suddenly, your paycheck is eaten up by 12 different small bills, all hitting at once. That's how it happens. Not in a crisis, in comfort, quietly. I once got a letter from someone who was drowning in debt. She had a good job, a nice apartment, and still couldn't breathe. She had over $32,000 in credit card debt and wasn't even paying the interest anymore. That's the thing about payment traps. They feel light going in, but they crush you over time. So what's the solution? It's not about never buying anything. It's about asking one question. Would I still want this if I had to pay for it in full? Today? If the answer is no, you're not ready to own it. Because freedom doesn't come from what you drive. It comes from what you don't owe. Most people stay broke not because they're lazy, but because they're stuck in one role: the buyer. Every day we're encouraged to spend. Buy the latest gadget, upgrade your phone, grab that quick delivery. But the people who move ahead financially don't just buy what others create. They start to create something of their own. They flip the script. They shift from thinking, "How can I afford this?" to asking, "How can I earn more without trading more hours?" That's the first step toward becoming a producer. It doesn't mean launching the next Apple. It can be small, like selling something you make, tutoring online, turning a weekend skill into freelance income. One man I met used to drive rideshare after work, not because he needed it, but because he saw it as fuel. Every dollar he made went straight into stocks. 10 years later, that extra money became the down payment on his first home. When you act with purpose, every small effort compounds. It's not about predicting the next recession. It's about preparing for anything. Because the economy will shift, prices will rise, jobs may come and go. But if you can produce, even in small ways, you're no longer trapped by what others pay you. You control your income, you expand your options, you move forward. And that's what it means to truly step ahead. It's never been easier to look rich. Social media gives us curated lives. People smiling in new cars, posing in Bali, sipping $8 coffee every morning like it's nothing. But here's what no one posts: the credit card balances, the stress behind the smiles, the fear of missing just one paycheck. Many of them aren't rich. They're just good at looking like they are. You know what's crazy? Warren Buffett, one of the richest humans on earth, still lives in the same house he bought in 1958. He eats simple meals, he wears modest clothes, and he's never needed a Gucci belt to prove his worth, because real wealth is quiet. It doesn't beg to be seen. I had a friend who financed a luxury SUV just to feel successful. It cost her nearly $900 a month: insurance, payments, upkeep. 6 months later, she was skipping lunches to make ends meet. That's the trap. When you build your life to impress others, you chain yourself to their opinions. At the end of one interview, Buffett said something that stuck with me. If you buy things you don't need, soon you'll have to sell things you do. And that's the cost of the flashy lifestyle. Not just the money, but your peace, your options, and your time. So let's bring it all together. You don't need $1 million idea. You don't need perfect timing. And you certainly don't need to be born into wealth. What you do need is a shift. A shift away from spending everything you earn. Away from buying the illusion of success. Away from waiting for life to magically change. We talked about 5 silent habits that keep people stuck. Living paycheck to paycheck, drowning in payments, ignoring compounding, chasing status, and always reacting instead of building. But the good news? Every one of those habits can be broken, starting today. No matter where you are right now, you can begin choosing differently, thinking long-term, saving something, building something. And if this message hit home for you, if it made you stop and reflect, then maybe that shift has already begun. If so, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone you care about. Leave a comment with the step you're ready to take, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Because this isn't just a podcast, it's your reminder. You're not stuck. You're just one smart decision away from a different life. Most people think building wealth takes luck or a massive salary. But what if I told you the secret isn't how much you earn? It's how early and how often you plant your seeds. Wealth works like a tree. You don't see anything right away. But underground, the roots are working, quietly, consistently. That's the beauty of compounding, the simple idea that your money can earn more money. And then that money earns more too. It's not magic, it's math. And the earlier you start, the more time your money has to multiply. Let me tell you about a friend of mine. He started investing just $50 a month in dividend-paying stocks when he was 25. At first, it felt pointless. "What's $50 going to do?" he'd say. But by the time he turned 40, his account had grown to over $40,000 without ever increasing his monthly deposit. All because he gave it time. And as Buffett once put it near the end of a lecture, "My wealth has come from a combination of living in America, some lucky genes, and compound interest." He's not exaggerating. He bought his first stock at age 11 and never stopped planting. So start small if you need to, start slow if you must, but start now. Because time is your greatest investment partner.